Here's example 2 on dividing polynomials long division. Remember in the last video we said x plus 3. This is the divisor, what we're dividing by, and the polynomial we're dividing is called the dividend. Now notice that the dividend in our original problem looks very different than what I've written inside this division box. And what's different is that we have filled in various terms with 0. Why do we do that? I have x to the 4th power, and then the next term is x. This x has an exponent of 1. We always write our polynomials in descending order of exponents. So I notice very quickly that I don't have an x to the 3rd power, which would be your next term. I don't have an x to the 2nd power, which would be the term after that one. And then I have an x term. So those two terms that don't exist in the dividend, I have to fill in with 0 when I write it inside the division box. They're sort of placeholders. They will hold the place of these terms that don't exist. Writing 0 means that this whole thing is 0, so I can add 0 to anything and it'll remain the same. So I'm not changing any of the values here. I'm just using it as a placeholder. So anytime this happens, remember to insert these terms that don't exist with zeros. Let's start dividing. We look at the first term in the dividend, and we look at the first term in the divisor. And we ask ourselves, x times what will give me x to the 4th power? Well, that will be x to the 3rd power. X to the 3rd power multiplied times x will give you x to the 4th power. And x to the 3rd power multiplied by the other term in the divisor, which is 3, will give you 3x cubed. And notice how nicely this term falls right underneath the placeholder. We insert it, and now we subtract. Remember this minus. We're going to change that to a plus, and we change inside the parentheses all the signs. So this was positive, now it's negative. This was positive, now it's negative. And let's subtract x to the 4th power plus negative x to the 4th power, that's 0. And 0x to the 3rd power plus negative 3x to the 3rd power is negative 3x to the 3rd power. We're done subtracting. Bring everything else down. So all of these come down. I have plus 0x squared minus 5x plus 10. As long as the exponent in this first term of your subtraction is greater than the first term in your divisor, you keep dividing. Whenever this exponent is smaller than the exponent in the divisor, that's when you stop. So we're going to continue to divide. So I look at the first term in the divisor and the first term in this subtraction, and I ask, x times what will give me negative 3x to the 3rd power? So I know if I have x and I want to get negative 3x, I have to multiply by a negative 3. That'll give me negative 3x, but I want x cubed. So I'll have to also have an x squared term with that negative 3. So now negative 3x squared times x, that will give me negative 3x cubed. And negative 3x squared times the second term in the divisor times 3 will give me negative 9x squared. And we subtract. When you subtract, remember, the signs will change. So this becomes plus, plus, plus. Negative 3x cubed plus 3x cubed, that makes 0. Notice that first term is always 0. And then 0x squared plus 9x squared, that gives you 9x squared. And bring everything down. Minus 5x plus 10. Again, we look at the first term in the subtraction. The exponent is still not less than the exponent in the divisor, so that means I continue to divide. X times what will give me 9x squared? Well, if I multiply x times 9x, I'll get 9x squared. So 9x times that first term, x will give you 9x squared, and 9x times 3, that will give you positive 27x. And now we subtract. Minus. Remember that this will become a plus, this will be negative, and this will be negative. Now we subtract. Let me bring this down a little bit. This becomes 0, negative 5x plus negative 27x. That makes a total of negative 32x's. And bring down the 10. And again, this exponent is now equal to this exponent. It's still not less than the divisor, than the exponent in the first term of the divisor. So that means I can continue to divide. So I ask myself, x times what will give me negative 32x? Well, negative 32 will give me negative 32x. So negative 32 times that first term in the divisor, that gives you negative 32x. And negative 32 times 3, that gives you negative 96. And now we subtract again. This minus outside I'll change it to a plus, this changes to a plus, and this changes to a plus. This becomes 0, and 10 plus 96, that's 106. And now I stop. This is the remainder. And how do I write the answer to this problem? This division will equal the quotient that we got here, which is x cubed minus 3x squared plus 9x minus 32 plus a remainder of 106 over x plus 3 over the divisor. And there you have the answer. I'll give one more example, example 3. I'll see you in the next video.